Alright, here's an update on the Q2 chassis. I did a little different. I tried to, I thought I was just going to be able to articulate the front because I did that in the T1. But I didn't take in account that the wheels in the T1 were bigger, and I did take in account that they were bigger, and I removed the flange off the second set of drivers towards the rear, and only articulated the front. It didn't need much. This one here, I thought I was going to be able to not remove any flanges and just I would just make the front articulate. And I didn't do my normal thing that I normally do, and that's sit it up on the track like this, and then basically having an imaginary line. Say the rear truck I don't want to articulate. I want that to be straight. So this needs to be straight on the rear truck. And then wherever that straight line hits the front truck in the center is where you articulate it. Or even if you can, and if it'll make the turn. Well, I didn't do that. I just assumed, because the wheels were going to be smaller, that it would be that I would be able to do it. And the Q1 had bigger wheels. I articulated the front and the rear. And I thought because these wheels were going to be smaller, I wouldn't have to do that. Well, what I forgot to take into account was the wheelbase in this thing is actually longer than the Q1, even though it has smaller wheels. And the reason why it's longer is because there's a piston in the middle of it. In the Q1, the piston is in the back. So when you look at a Q1, you see 5 drivers when you look at it from the side. When you look at this, you see 2 drivers, a piston, 3 drivers. So the wheelbase is actually longer. And I did not want to remove the flanges. Reason being, is because this is 6-wheel drive. The front truck is free spinning. The front truck chassis, the frame is from a big boy. It was parts that I had, and I was going to use the gearbox and the transmission and all that for it, like I did for this. This is out of a Berkshire. So obviously I don't have an aluminum frame, so what I did was plastic to raise this up, and then I used baking soda and crazy glue all the way around it to add some bulk to it. I drilled it out and the screws tapped into it. Now if you look really close, you'll see a drive shaft. See it right there? That is rubber hose, just like this one, except there's a spring on the bottom, and the spring acts as a clamp. So you slide the piece of spring, like 2 or 3 runs from a spring. You wedge the rubber line, silicone rubber hose into it, and then you worm that onto the shaft, and it will not spin, and you won't have to glue it. That way you can service it. So that's that. Now, this whole thing articulates the front, back, the front and rear. It doesn't need to articulate much for it to fit here. The pistons really aren't going to overhang the body too much. The body is 1.5 inches wide, which is actual is, I believe, 11.6, somewhere around there. This is a very wide train. So the fact that it needs to be 1.5 inches, where some of them I've made them 1.5 inches and they really weren't supposed to be 1.5 inches. This particular one actually needs to be that wide. This is just raw plastic. I cut it in sections. It actually came from plastic from the pockets, the stereo pockets you used to buy back in the 80s and the 90s when you changed the factory radio. You put a pocket below the radio. It's a good, I don't know, I'd say it's probably maybe 3/16, no, 3/32 thick, just under 1/8 thick, pretty strong. You just keep scoring it with a razor blade and then snap it. So that's what this is made out of. It's got a piece of metal bonded to the top. There's holes in that metal, so the super glue and the baking soda solidified. It's hard as hell. I actually had to break that free because it wasn't in the center and it was a goddamn nightmare. So anyway, I left this shaft on here. I didn't saw it off because I might want to reposition this and put another motor in here. Maybe. I don't know. So right now, out of all those 3 drivers, the 6 drivers back there, there's only 1 traction tire. I will change one of the wheel sets, so it does have 2 traction tires on it. I want to be able to pull more than 10-15 cars on this, and I won't be able to do that if there's only 1 traction tire. The wheels do not match. They're not even the correct wheels for this type of train, but it's all I had. The wheel that you see in the front is actually a big boy wheel. I do have a few more. I just don't have enough. So I'm going to leave it the way it is for now. I just want to get it running, and sooner or later I'll come across a parts train where I can rob some parts off of it. So, just like the rail train, the front cylinders are slightly smaller than the rear. I don't know why they did that, but according to the specs, that's the way it was, so I actually did the same thing. So, I'll just do this by hand. If you see me spinning this, you can see the wheels turning. See it backing up. So it does work. A couple of the rods I had to slightly bend because they were interfering with one another. Because of the position of this, and for whatever reason, I don't know, but I had to bend them slightly, which I really doesn't bother me that they're slightly bent. You can't see that they're bent when you're looking straight at it. So I'd rather have it work correctly than the rods be tapping off of one another. So there'll be lead weight that goes in the middle. There's a spring on this front truck. As you see, like I said, the front mechanism here is going to spin on its own. It's not going to be motorized. So we'll see how this works, and if it doesn't work the way I want it, I will find another Berkshire frame. I have 4 Berkshires. And I don't want to donate one of them because they all run really good. I don't want to rip a good train apart to build this thing. It's not that important to me. So, like all my trains I've used that I've built, I've used parts that I got from parts trains and whatnot, and just used the best stuff that I had. Now this motor is sitting on top of a 1/4-inch rubber block and an 1/8 of an inch rubber block. The blocks have been ground down and glued together. It is extremely strong. It will not break free. Not even if I drop the train, it won't break free. I actually dropped the train last night, bent one of the rods, and the motor didn't break free. So that's the update so far. This is what it looks like underneath. This is going to be cleaned up. I was thinking about grinding all this garbage out of there and putting basically a belt between here and here. But I thought when it tries to articulate, that would really kind of, I don't know, put a band in there and see what happens as far as getting this to spin. But seeing that there's no traction tires on it, it's really not going to offer much traction. So as you can see, there's one, the wheels have to be cleaned up. I got baking soda all over them. There's only one traction tire there. So I got to change one of those rims. I have a few Berkshires that have two rims that accept traction tires, and I have a couple that don't. The older ones had 2 traction tires, and the newer ones didn't. I might just rob a set out of one of those, swap a set. We'll see. I might just machine one of the wheels down and put a traction tire on myself. So I haven't figured that out yet. But if you have any comments, if I'm babbling, I apologize. I worked 12 hours today and came home and started working on this, so I'm absolutely exhausted. But anyway, there you have it. If you have any ideas, suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I'm open to suggestions. I know it doesn't look pretty right now, but it will once all this is ground down and painted black. It'll look fine. Anyway, thank you for watching.